The Precision Farming DLC for Farming Simulator 22 is about to release, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at everything that you need to know about before downloading it. The DLC will be released on the in-game mod hub on Tuesday, April the 19th, 2022. Though this is a DLC, it will appear like a regular mod. It's the reason for the release on mod hub. And if you don't want to use it, you don't have to, as mods like this aren't for everybody. The features will only be activated if you have the mod activated on your game save, so make sure you've done that before starting up. You don't need a new game save for it to take effect either. Just load up and keep playing as if you were doing it normally. It will be available for all platforms with the exception of Google Stadia, as Google Stadia does not have mod support. Players on Xbox One, Series X and S, PlayStation 4 and 5, and PC and Mac will be able to get Precision Farming for free. Yes, free, since this is really just a Giants mod that at the end of the day doesn't cost you anything. Precision Farming is a special project initiated by John Deere and funded by EIT Food, Europe's leading food innovation initiative. The focus of Precision Farming is to change the public image about farming by providing knowledge on sustainable farming and increasing the transparency and trust in modern agriculture with the general public. This project was started around 2 years ago, with the very first version of Precision Farming being released later on in December 2020, nearly 18 months later for FarmSim 19. Per the original announcement made back in July 2020, Precision Farming is set to be a 2-year project, so we've still got a lot more time to go before hitting that 24-month mark. Now that you know kind of what Precision Farming is, let's take a look at what is returning from this version for Farming Simulator 19, and we're also going to take a look at what's new. Returning features are soil types and sampling, economic analysis and yield maps, and variable rate mineral and lime fertilizing. New to Precision Farming for FS22 are crop sensors and soil maps, variable rate seeding, weed control and manure fertilizing, and of course, your environmental score. Even though there are a few things returning, they've gotten an overhaul as well. So here's a quick overview of the returning features and how they've changed. First is soil types. There's 4 different types of soil, meaning there's 4 different levels of yield potential. You have loamy sand, sandy loam, and silty clay. Each one needs a different level of seeding, fertilizing, and each one offers different yield levels as well. This was a very basic feature in FS19, and it's the starting point of Precision Farming. To find out what kind of soil you have, you're gonna need to take soil samples. In 19, we had the Asaria Scout, which would collect soil samples from the ground, and once you'd collected all the soil samples that you needed for a given area or field, you could then send them off to the lab to be analyzed, which took about a minute or two in-game time, so like 5 or 15 times scale, almost instant. Once you got your samples back, the menu would then show what kind of soil you had and how the ground was. As far as pH levels and nitrogen content, you could increase these numbers by using solid or liquid fertilizer and lime. This could also be done automatically or manually, controlled by the auto mode on the spreader or sprayer. By far, my most favorite feature of the FS19 version of Precision Farming. So that's what's coming back, but what's new? Well, for one thing, analyzing your crops is much easier now. The Scout was tough because it only measured small circles. However, we're going to be getting 2 new kinds of crop sensors for nitrogen content measurement. First is the Asaria Pro Active, which uses a pulsing light source to measure the crop on the spot. It can be used in the day or night. Likewise, the Asaria Passive Pro Compact is a sensor mounted on the cab mirrors of your tractors. It requires daylight function, meaning you can't use this one at night. This feature will be added to all tractors in the store when customizing them. Do keep in mind, sensors can only be used when the crop has enough green leaves for the sensor to detect differences, no matter which one you're using. These sensors are for nitrogen content measurement only. If you want to do things the easy way, you can always just buy soil maps instead of having to actually take those soil samples or measuring them. You can even buy a map containing all the necessary information, such as soil types, pH levels, and the nitrogen content. It's going to save you time, however, it does cost you money. The next new features are variable rate seeding, weed control, and manure fertilizing. Let's start with variable rate seeding. Once you've done a full map field analysis by either taking the measurement yourself or purchasing the soil map, you'll then have a map showing you which areas need more, less, or the standard amount of seed to gain the same yield as a base game. Depending on what the soil type is, whether you've got loamy sand, sandy loam, or silty clay, each crop will require different levels of seed in that area. The great thing is, there's an automatic button for this as well, so you never technically have to worry about it, and that's what I would recommend for probably 90% of players. One of the benefits of using more seed is also less weeds. And speaking of, Precision Farming for FS22 will be getting another new feature, variable rate weed control and spot spraying. Weeds won't appear as evenly spread out as they do in the base game, so spraying a whole field doesn't really make sense anymore. You could save a ton of herbicide costs just by using one new feature, well, having a positive impact on your environmental score, which we'll be talking about in a few minutes. To achieve this, a new feature, See and Spray, is being added to all sprayers in the menu, and I would highly suggest using this. However, one thing to keep in mind is it ain't cheap, 39 grand, but in the long run, it's totally worth it. We're also going to be getting a new John Deere trailed sprayer to go along with it, the R732i Power Spray. Precision Farming will also be adding manure nitrogen sensors, which are near-infrared sensors mounted to a liquid manure spreader, and it measures the current nitrogen content of the manure itself coming out. With that information, the application rate will then be dynamically adjusted as the machine travels across your field. But why would you need this feature? Well, in the real world, slurry is never homogeneous, aka the same time after time. There's always variables in each load that make it unique from the rest, so you would want more or less to be used as you're using spreading slurry for the nitrogen improvements in FS22. This is more of a roleplay style feature, but I think it's really cool. You never know kind of what you're gonna get. The nitrogen levels for slurry and precision farming can differ up to 40% from what you're used to or expecting in one direction or the other. This makes for a wild and sometimes unexpected twist when using slurry. To go along with this, we're also getting the Cody Grant PTR 30,000 tanker. So that's everything except for the biggest part, the environmental score. By far the most game-changing feature, and something that's going to have an effect on your entire farm and every piece of land that you own. This score will tell you how environmentally friendly and sustainable your farm actually is, because at the end of the day, that's kind of the whole point of what precision farming is all about. The scary part is, score will affect your crop values, and when it comes time to sell, you could be making more or less. To get specific, the final scores range from 0 to 100 points, with the default state being 50 points. You can gain or lose points based on the way that you farm. Depending on the final score, you can gain up to 15% more yield for your crops, or you can lose 15% more yield. The total score is based on various factors, which apply to every field that you own. On your map, you'll see an individual score for each field, and you'll be able to check which fields need better management to raise the total score. The 100 points for each field, and therefore your entire farm, is based on nitrogen levels, pH levels, weed control, soil sampling, and tillage. Only by taking care of all of these factors in the right way can you access the full potential and yield of your crops and score a perfect 100. To break it down even more, you're going to get 15 points for soil sampling, which can be done manually or by buying the soil map. Either way. 10 points for reduced tillage, meaning that plowing and deep tillage is not environmentally friendly. However, shallow tillage is, so using shallow tools and using direct drilling gets you the max points. Another 30 points are based off of nitrogen levels. Max score of 30 can only be reached if using the manure sensor for organic fertilizer and the crop sensor for the mineral application, aka just use the auto modes. It's easy. Using too much fertilizer leads to excessive nitrogen levels and thus less yield. One thing to note, nitrogen levels only reset after harvesting and cannot be reduced, only increased. 15 points goes for pH values as well, meaning maintaining optimal pH is key. You can only reach a total of 15 points by getting the perfect balance. Again, just use the auto mode. It's there for a reason. If your pH level is too high or too low, it will decrease your score. Just like nitrogen levels, they only reset after harvesting and cannot be reduced, only increased. Finally, we've got a total of 30 points still missing. This is available for proper weed control on your fields. To reach a full 30 points for this, you're gonna need to use spot spraying or see and spray. To get 20 points, you can use a weed or a hoe. For 15 points, you could just spray the whole field. And if you don't do anything, you get the lowest score of 10. But hey, you still get points for doing nothing. So kind of a win-win, I guess. And that's it. That's everything that you need to know about precision farming before it releases on Tuesday, April the 19th, 2022. It will be available for Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4 and 5, PC, and Mac. You can download it for free just like any other mod on the in-game mod hub, and its features will only be active if you have the mod activated on your game save. Make sure that you do that before starting up, or else you'll be missing out on all these awesome features if you want to use them. You don't need a new game save or to take effect either, just load up and keep playing. I will be doing some testing to see what happens if you use it and then turn it off, so stay tuned for videos coming up on that over the next few weeks, and everything else that you need to know about precision farming after installing it. If you'd like to take a closer look at anything that we talked about today in particular, I will leave links to everything in the description. That way you can see exactly what it is that you want to know more about. With all that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Man, this was a whole lot to put together, but if you did enjoy it or you just appreciate the work that goes into stuff like this, make sure you drop a like on it. Get subscribed if you're new around here. Do fun stuff like this all the time. Join the GoHam fam. Make sure those notification bells are on. That way, if you are subscribed, you never miss daily Farming Simulator videos just like this one here on the channel. All that being said, I appreciate you guys taking your time to watch this video today and enjoy it, and hope you have a great day. We'll see you later.